Kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. I'd like to introduce you to my brand new co-host. This is the Governor, aka Chewie, if some of you haven't seen him before. He's just new to the channel. Hi, Chewie.
It's the governor, innit? Cup of tea.
Cup of tea, innit?
I just want to say, like, I'm going to keep talking about the fact that I went to London to see Murder by Death. But can I just show you a piece of merchandise that I bought, which is the most amazing thing I've ever seen?
Sure.
Murder by Death. Very scary. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's Buckaroo Frog.
Buckaroo
It's
Frog.
a cowboy frog. How is that scary? Can't
Not
be scary.
scary.
Can be awesome.
Not scary. Not scary.
Not scary. It's Buckaroo Frog. It's got a cowboy hat. It's got cowboy boots. And it's a frog. It's whimsical.
It is whimsical. You are correct. That is whimsical indeed, Chewie. I would go down that path.
We need more whimsy.
Welcome to the show, Whānau. I was editing up some clips last night after the show, and I took a clip of Chloe Swarbrick in the press conference yesterday when she was just defining what was legal and illegal. And I started to title it Chloe Swarbrick Spitting Facts. And then I went, oh, that might not be the best word to use today. So I took the word spitting out and I put Chloe Swarbrick giving facts, because, you know, with all this contrived offence out there about a left-wing blogger apparently doing something kind of nearly as bad as what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's what kind of the right's doing about it at the moment. Then, have you heard it? It's been like, you know, someone's literally said about that throwaway line in the blog. It was just a few weeks ago that Charlie Kirk's like, yeah, maybe economies of scale, Whānau. Maybe economies of scale. So
it has been a bit breathless in the right-wing commentary sections, by which I mean Twitter, because it's still Twitter. It's still a sewer. Yeah, it's been people say the violent, intolerant left.
Yeah.
And they're still operating on the fact that if Charlie Kirk got zapped, it was by some sort of trans lefty, no matter what evidence comes out about it. And we're absolutely going to ignore that there was none of this outcry. You remember when the Greens leader, was it Shaw, got punched in the face in the street? And he was just like, yeah, it's okay, I don't feel unsafe. Do we forget Hannah having her home invaded? Do we forget all of the rumours that were fueled around Clark Gayford and how Jacinda was treated? No. But that's Winston Peters having his window smashed. Worst thing to ever happen.
Well,
just a touchdown from a coup.
Well, we were talking about different things here. I was talking about the line that Bomber wrote about spitting at and thing. You're talking about something else. I would also like to put out there that there were some things that have happened, and one of them is that line from Bomber, and the other one is what happened to Winston's house, which we'll talk about later, which does the left no favours, because it plays into the hands of the narrative that then they can go with. What it is stupid politics. We know how they're going to react. We know how they're going to spin. We know that it's going to inflate the culture war from the right. And this is the thing that I don't want to be too dismissive about with you, Whānau. It works for the right.
Yeah, it has been working.
It builds the right, and it builds the coalition of the right. So look, I said last night, I don't think that getting outside houses of politicians and protesting is the best thing in the world. I said if it was Chloe's house, we'd all be saying, oh, come on, not there. And I want to play a straight bat and to say both ways. However, right, and this is not to say that therefore that's not a problem. Anything that happens from the left to the right that warrants criticism, they have this amplifier they can make it sound 1,000 times worse than it is. And I'll say it again, and it works for the right. So we'll talk about more about this later on, because one of the biggest things, of course, when they're all talking about, the decorum. I've heard the word decorum used today a couple of times. I would just love to remind a few people about what was said by politicians on the right and more about Benjamin Doyle. Decorum, whānau.
100%.
Decorum. So, decorum, whānau. We'll get to more of that later on tonight, because this is the thing, right? No matter what we say, the rights commentators are going to say, look at those guys, sticking up for the violent. I've had it in my Twitter feed today. Violent defenders. You can. Two things can be correct. Nobody should step foot onto a politician's property and break a window. Nobody should step into anybody's property and break a window. That can be true. And the right can be making a much bigger deal out of a situation which is quite a small deal. Both things can be true. Anyway, welcome to the show. Hey, we should probably go and get Marilyn on right now, because that's where we're starting with. But before we do, I just want to remind people of one thing. We've had some quite exciting news over the last 24 hours about what we're doing with merch. And I want to let you know about it, because this is all going to go away on Friday at midnight. And there has to be a point where we close it off. It is going to be this Friday. Over the weekend, you know that we're raising money for medical aid for Palestinians by selling our You Can't Bomb the Truth Away t-shirts and hoodies. Well, over the weekend, when I saw and heard what was going on, I just kind of felt like I wanted us, community, to do a bit more, to be able to donate a bit more. So we've left these up for purchase. And what we're going to do, all right, is originally it was we will donate $10 for every hoodie and $5 for every t-shirt to medical aid for Palestinians. Well, in the weekend, I decided I want to do more. So BHN is going to match that. So when you buy a hoodie, you're basically donating $5 for a t-shirt. We're going to match that, so it'll be $10 for a t-shirt. You're basically donating $10 for a hoodie. We'll match that, so it's $20 for a hoodie. And then some very kind, generous soul in our community said that they would match that as well. So therefore, you buy a hoodie, technically, now there's a cap on the very kind-hearted persons, because if we sold 1 million of them, they may not be able to do that. So there is a cap on it. But if you buy hoodies over the next couple of days, you are probably contributing a $40 donation, because it's your 10, our 10, and this generous person's matching it. So there's another 20. $40 per hoodie gets donated to MAPS, Medical Aid for Palestinians. So we're going to do that all through this week. And the other thing, if I haven't been clear, it's not just on that gear, on any T-shirts and any hoodies. Any T-shirt, that applies. Your donation, our donation, our generous contributors' donation. Any hoodie, your donation, our donation, and our generous contributors' donation as well. And at the end of the week, we're up towards $500 now. At the end of the week, I mean, it'd be nice to be able to tick over 1,000, 1,500. Man, that dog looks comfy, doesn't she? Doesn't she look comfortable? Yeah. All right, we'll get rid of her. So there you go, bighn.nz/shop, or you can go to the original store. They both kind of work. And we're just in the process of figuring out, it's me because I'm a moron, how to put it on YouTube as well. So hopefully in the next few days, you'll see on our YouTube channel, under our videos, some of our merch. And we think hopefully that will reach more people, and there'll be more people around New Zealand wearing You Can't Bomb the Truth Away t-shirts. All right, guys. Speaking of Palestinian, and what's been going on over the last 2 years, Marilyn Garson from Alternative Jewish Voices has written a piece. It has been 2 years, 730 days of annihilation and the sheer heartlessness of starvation. This day and every day, we send our deepest aroha to our Palestinian whānau who live this nightmare. 2 years of genocide is the heading of the article, and Marilyn Garson joins us right now to have a chat about it. Marilyn, good evening to you, and thanks for joining the show.
Good evening, and thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, you just got us some time. Chewie's been off gallivanting the globe watching bands for a month or so, so you've got us both back finally. Hey, I always do this when you join us, Marilyn. I always kind of go, well, let's do an update. Sort of where are we at today? And without trying to kind of step back from the conversation and just let you dictate it, you are in this space with alternative Jewish voices. You lived in Gaza around 2011, wasn't it? 2011, 2012, around that time period. And you are far more knowledgeable than either of us. So it's 2 years since the terrorist attack by Hamas at the music festival. And where are we at? How are we 2 years down the line, especially when we're thinking about what's happening in Gaza in particular?
Boy, I and everyone I know, we're in this strange state of disorientation. It can't be happening. It can't still be happening. We cannot have been watching this society annihilated, the waste of it, the lives, the infrastructure, the culture, the ecological damage. It's all in plain sight. How can that not be stopped? And how can we not be enough when there are 100,000 people in the street in Berlin and 250,000 people in the street in Amsterdam and tens of thousands of Kiwis in the street? How can this not be enough to make it stop? So I think we're in a state of real just disorientation. A friend of mine from Gaza wrote to me a couple of days ago, and he said that a friend of his told him the story of leaving Gaza. He got the exit permit to go back to the Ukraine, where he had lived for some time. He talked about his experience on the road from the middle of the Gaza Strip to the exit near Egypt. And on the road, he encountered every understandable human response to this. There were people who said, "Please take my baby, make my baby safe. I will stay."
Wow. Yeah.
And there were people who said, "If you leave here, you can never come back. If you leave us here, you cannot come back." It's such a portrait of people in extremis. And I look at the videos, I lived there for 4 years. I can't even tell which neighborhood they're in because there's not enough left. So here we are after 2 years in this state of shock.
We, a few times, Marilyn, have played one of the AP's, Associated Press's drone shot, and always kind of comment, it looks like a movie set for an apocalyptic war. And then just the weekend gone, and you'll know this better than anybody, I was showing my wife one of those videos, and I looked it up on YouTube. And as I looked it up, there was a video 3 lots down that was a tour of Gaza 6 years ago, and we played it. And that was actually more confronting, because you then got to see a 20-something-year-old doing a, "Hey, I'm on YouTube, this is YouTube, and this is Gaza," walking through the streets, the waterfront looking like Miami, the streets looking like Spain or Barcelona. And the point that my wife made, and she can get credit for it, is with those drone shots now, there's no green. All the trees have gone. And even that, it makes you kind of go, holy crap, not only the rebuilding of the houses, of the buildings, it's actually the regrowing of everything. They've killed everything. Everything's being killed. Not lots of people and the buildings, but everything's gone. And yeah, to watch, we showed some of that last night. To watch that video of Gaza 6 years ago was very confronting, although it was a lovely video. It was a lovely location to see. So yeah, what you say resonates, even though I've never been there, that you can't recognize the streets because you can see it in the videos.
And there's this pervasive sense of absence. You see the crowds on the remaining street moving this way, moving that way, being driven from their homes one more time, but all around them is emptiness. And Gaza has been one of the most densely populated places on earth. Where is the density now? There are these very disturbing spatial mapping estimates of the people who are missing, the people who have left, the people who are under the rubble, the people who are unaccounted for. And I was in Cambodia several years after the Khmer Rouge fell, and the sense of a haunted place, the sense of absence was everywhere. And I feel that now when I look at Gaza. Such a bustling place it had been.
Yeah. Chewie.
I've got nothing, to be honest. I think it stunned me when Pat said last night that it was the anniversary tomorrow. It seems both simultaneously a really long time that we have been watching this, that we've been waking up to the images, that we've seen the pleas from people in Gaza for any sort of donation. And it seems so long that we have been saying to our leaders, can you not see what we see? We feel like we need to do more. This feels wrong to be doing so little. And at the same time, it seems like a really short amount of time as well. And I don't know how to reconcile these things, and all I can do is go to major historical events of previous genocides and that sort of thing and go, so this is how they go, is that there is an inertia that the public, the people see, and our leaders lag behind. I think much the same as you. I don't know what I can do to speed this process up. And it's not the finish line that I'm looking for where I go, see, I was right from day one. Because that's not the end goal here. The end goal here is to stop this murder and torture and just everything. I can't see a pathway.
So let me turn it around, because I also feel like something very different is striking me. And I had lunch with a couple of friends yesterday. We were talking about this. We were talking about how exceptionally well we in Aotearoa have used these 2 years to lay foundations that will last. In that sense, I feel like, I know it's very hard to even say we have done something well, but we have. You've just mentioned one thing, the number of people who have used social media to make meaningful connections with families in Gaza. Gaza is personal to them. They will not let it go. We have exceptional Palestinian leaders who carry everything that they live with, but they still lead with their hearts in the most welcoming way. We have the embrace of Maori leadership for they recognize the story of Palestine. They lead in this, and so they bring the expectation of tikanga to our actions, and they bring titiriti, which is an invitation to coexist. We have a movement with a kind of vision, an aspirational sound that is different from the experiences that I hear others tell me from other countries. So, this work is longer than anyone expected, and every day of it it's just heartbreaking that there had to be another day. But I also feel very confident that the people who are waiting for us to give up will fail. We are going to become irresistible because of these foundations that we now stand upon.
Yeah. We played this yesterday. Chloe said at the end of the press conference, a reckoning is coming. And, some people are trying to spin those words in some kind of weird, violent thing at the moment. But she was talking about slowly, day by day, people are running out of excuses. And it's really only the hardliners left who still are uncritically behind Israel. Because anyone who has weighed up what's happening here and is being honest about it. We talked last night about the idea, and I forget the author's name, I apologize, but there was an author who's written a book, and I think a Gazan author, Palestinian author, who's written a book called something like One Day We Will All Be Against This.
And he's
And
actually Egyptian.
say that again?
He's actually Egyptian.
Egyptian, okay. And we reconcile that to be thinking about the 1981 Springbok tour. I don't know anyone who was against the Springbok tour this number of years later, because they realized this number of years later they were on the wrong side of history. So one day we will all have been against this. And you'll be very hard pushed in 2, 5, 10, 20, 50 years to find anyone who was like, so I was so on Israel's side. You know, I was so on Germany's side in 1940s. I was so there, you know, it's the same sort of thing. And other than those extremists who think, you know, that particular person from Germany in the 1940s is still their idol, basically you don't find sane people who are still for that. And it's going the same way. It shouldn't have taken this long. I said last night, and I said this to Chippy last week. We had Chippy on. He was making noises like it's too much now. It's too much now. And I was like, Chippy, on day 10 when they bombed the first hospital, it was too much then. You know, it was too much then when they bombed the first hospital. It's been too much since a long time ago. And I wasn't saying this to Chippy, but for the people who have taken 18 months to get here, welcome. Welcome. Now there's work to do for you guys who have taken so long to get here.
Yeah. And the statements of support now are so divorced from reality. You know, if you look at the Jewish Council statement today, it's all staked on October 7th.
Yeah.
It glosses over 75 years before, and it glosses over 730 days since. And now that clangs. We're not there anymore. They are out of touch. But I have to say, there is a precedent for this that we would do well to remember when we get tired. You know, people say Winston Peters' refusal to recognize Palestine is the most embarrassing thing since. Well, here's my since, which I think has a real message today. In 1979, when the Khmer Rouge were toppled, they had, for 4 years, conducted a genocide and killed, the numbers are not clear, a fifth, perhaps even a quarter of the population of Cambodia. We continue to recognize the Khmer Rouge as the rightful rulers of Cambodia for a further 12 years, while Cambodians, survivors, inhabited the poorest country on earth. We upheld a blockade that prevented food from reaching, an embargo that prevented food from reaching them. And if you read the diplomatic history, both labor and national foreign ministers explained that it was simply more important for us to be reliable to our American allies than it was to get food to Cambodians. So there is absolutely a precedent here, and we need not to let go of this because we're doing it again. We can't make this a habit.
Well, it just evokes that message of, if we don't acknowledge our history, we're doomed to repeat it. So if they're not acknowledging that, if this is still kind of in our history of, didn't really happen, not really a big deal, then we're doomed to repeat it. Marilyn, I'm interested as well to hear from you. What's been in the news a lot for New Zealand in the last few days is the flotilla heading across. What are your thoughts around the flotilla, what they tried to achieve, what they did achieve, what happened when they got what appears to be illegally boarded in international waters? Do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I do. The fact is that some people in this world get more attention than others, whether because of celebrity or it was often the case when we began advocating with Palestinians that it was harder. People looked less often at the Palestinians. There are all kinds of privilege in terms of the attention people get. And I think that the people on this flotilla have done a remarkable job of maintaining a discipline of their message and their priorities and keeping the story focused on Gaza. It was never, an unarmed ship was never going to get through that blockade. But I think there's much more to it than simply chasing headlines. Look at the attention. Look at how foolish Israel is made to look, meeting a bunch of unarmed activists with that kind of heavy hand and feeling the need to humiliate people. I think they did as much as they could do, and change is cumulative. No one gesture is going to make it, but there is going to be more change with this flotilla than without them. That's what we all get as our measure now.
Yeah. Chewie.
As recently as 2 or 3 minutes ago, I had a point. I had a really good point.
That's pretty recent, Chewie.
Woof. The reckoning. The big scary reckoning. I've got the thought back. It's come back into my dome. A reckoning is a tipping point. And I would agree with it. I think we are past a tipping point. As horrible as the last 2 years have been, I think this, more than any other time in the history of the Palestinian resistance and the struggle against the state of Israel, has drawn more attention, more understanding, and more context than has ever been out in the Western world. Like, this has, I think, irrevocably damaged Israel's opinion on the world stage.
Yeah.
I think this has stained forever the reputation of Israelis overseas. And I don't think they've realized this yet. Like, the term pariah state, what countries spring to mind for those traditionally? North Korea, real failed, isolated states. And I think Israel has joined their ranks. I just don't think that they've noticed yet.
It's sorry, you go, Marilyn.
I was going to add, I don't think they have appreciated that Palestinians have gotten where they have gotten by elaborating something better than simply making an equal and opposite hateful noise. I think that stands out now. And I think Netanyahu is getting it. When he talks about Israel becoming Sparta, that is, of course, an image that, search it. He said, they all hate us. We must develop our own arms industry. We must be Sparta. And that is, of course, what Hannah Arendt said. If Israel is established this way, it will simply become a Sparta. So I think he sees it, but I don't think Israelis have come to grips with it.
I'm interested at what you've said, Chewie, about the how isolated Israel doesn't realize they're making themselves. But I do think about two countries in particular, and one of them is 80 years ago. The path that Germany took to come back, and now, fantastic country, world leading in so many areas, amazing, had really amazing leadership through there, who have been leading parts of Europe and Europe in a particular way. And the other one I think about is not quite so long ago, in the 90s, is South Africa. And how did they find their way back? And it was peace and reconciliation. More than that, it was trials. Like, if you're going to talk about Germany, you're going to have to talk about war crimes. Yep, absolutely. I was kind of more flicking on to the idea of that people, the citizens don't know where they're at right now, but there was a path back for those two places. And I don't have the name, I apologize. Maybe you know who it is, Marilyn, but Helen Clark was on Bomber's show tonight, and she mentioned the name of a leader from the West Bank who's currently in Israeli prisons. And apparently, I'll go find his name. Say again?
Barghouti.
And he's seen as a bit of a Nelson Mandela in some quarters. So, if there is the character for peace and reconciliation, I'm just saying that there is potentially a way back, Chewie, although I acknowledge it's pretty much, you're in a tunnel and there is no light. Actually, the end of the tunnel is still dark. You haven't even got to the light at the end of the tunnel with what we're looking at right now.
It's an interesting comparison. You got my history cogs turning there because, like, you have two countries. They're on the losing end of World War II, and they have two very different paths post World War II. You had Germany, which had a range of trials. They had executions of leaders. They had war crimes trials, and they had a dedicated program of denazification. How deep that went, that's something I won't talk about. And they've spent decades acknowledging what they did. The other Axis power, Japan, had a very different pathway. They did have some trials. They did have some people put up for war crimes, but they have, to date, often glossed over their reign of terror throughout Asia. You don't see that same penance paid for their actions in World War II. They've been lucky that they've become, again, a regional power just through their manufacturing and stuff like that. But both of those countries were occupied. Both of those countries were taken over. They lost. And so then we've got South Africa's sort of thing of like, well, they kind of lost under the weight of their own regime. It came from being isolated from the world community and then collapsing under their own rotten structure. And I think when you look at Israel and you have world leaders going, well, we all agree that the solution is a two-state solution. We're not going to do anything about that. It'll just apparently happen by magic. And I think we're all sane enough to go, well, that's never going to happen. The only way that happens is that we isolate Israel and it collapses under its own rotten structure, and then we try and pick the pieces together. I do not think the solution is a two-state solution. I don't think it's practical. I don't think it'll ever happen because nobody's going to provide an external force to make it happen. I think if you have two peoples living in the same land that have, let's say, historic and religious ties to those land, it needs to be a one-state solution. But that one state is not Israel. These people need to learn to live together, and they need to go through that reconciliation. They need to go through the war crimes trials. It's necessary on both sides, but at the moment it's very one-sided who's doing all the war crimes. And that's where I see it going. But how does that happen? Nobody's going to make me king of the world.
Yet. Marilyn.
I think there's another strand. Israel has also had 4 generations of impunity. Israel has been an exceptional country for so long that the reckoning has been postponed. I mean, the International Court of Justice has outlined the path. If we believe in this system that we talk about, it has been charted. It's not mysterious. But Israel has also a very different source of power. And this is something that's been very much on my mind recently. I think we have underplayed it and let it fly under the radar in this country for too long. You know, I see people writing on social media things like, when the Jews get Zionism out of their religion, this will end. And I understand what they're saying. And you know me, we do need to get Zionism out of our religion. And we take on that work in Alternative Jewish Voices. Absolutely. But Netanyahu and Israel are no longer dependent on our social license. We were disintermediated some time ago. We could all have a change of heart and Netanyahu would not be hung out to dry. Christian Zionism has overtaken us in that role. In this country, we have 5 rabbis, 130 Christian clergy published together as COMS, the Council of Ministers Supporting Israel. So Christian Zionist clergy to Jewish Zionist clergy is 26-1.
Jesus.
This government is not formulating policy because they're chasing 5,700 Jewish votes. We need to come to grips with this power that has grown up with access to this government. 2 years, boy, they've been flying under the radar for longer than that. Look up the Council of Christian Ministers on Scoop and read the statement that they wrote about their access to Winston Peters before he went off to New Zealand, to the United States, to not recognize Palestine. So around the world, Israel has other sources of support that will prop it up. Maybe not in a particularly recognizable form. It will no longer be able to claim to be the state of all the Jews. But if we want to undo this genocidal regime, and I'm referring to a regime of power, we need to accurately target its props. I spoke to a room full of Christians this weekend, and I still cannot give them the name of one journalist who does a serious job of trying to understand Christian Zionism in this country. So I think that helps to hold up the unreality in a way that we have failed to acknowledge.
Hey, Marilyn, just a kind of a side question here. You say that they're chasing 5,200 Jewish votes. I'd be interested in your perspective on where you think the majority of those Jewish votes go, because I know in America, Jewish vote in America swings heavily Democrat, heavily to the left. And it's, as you're saying, the Christian Zionists that support heavily the right. And I was also going to ask you something else, and actually it might not be an appropriate conversation, but I like this idea about sitting in a religious setting with people you disagree with. Are you someone who kind of participates at synagogue? And if you do, are the people around you like-minded in this area, or are they more on the Zionist end? Or, I mean, like, if that's probably, mind my business is fine for that answer, but there's a couple of things I was wondering. Where do they vote? And what is it like at Temple with the mix of people and their views on Israel?
Right. So I think a growing number of Jews who would not call themselves anti-Zionist have become anti-war. So rather like the protests in Israel, they want the war to end. And maybe they imagine the future as a nicer kind of Zionism, but they do not imagine a state of all its people. Where do they vote? Jews have never been as unified a bloc as Christian Zionists are. Right. So we vote across the board. Your other question is the core of the story of my second book, Jewish Not Zionist.
Yeah.
For 6 years, I'm a reasonably observant Jew. And for 6 years, I tried to talk about the stories of Gaza, of my 4 years there, while being a member of a progressive synagogue. And the menace, the shunning, the lies, it was so bad that by the time I left, I had been diagnosed with what they used to call shell shock.
Right. PTSD.
In the sense of being under attack for, not quite PTSD, a variation of what they used to call shell shock, from being under attack weekly for 6 years. So my co-founder at Alternative Jewish Voices, Fred Albert, he and I now co-lead New Zealand's only independent worship space for Jews.
All right.
And we do that in order to know that no one else needs to be taken apart in a synagogue in order to explore their religion.
Interesting. And just to echo what I'm saying about America, though, here's some research. In the Times of Israel, 79% of US Jews voted Harris according to the largest preliminary exit poll. That's like 8 in 10. 8 in 10 Jews in America vote left. So you can see it's quite a significant size there. Although they would have you believe that the Jewish vote belongs to the right. And that's what we were saying at the start of the show. Not that was our conversation, Marilyn, is that the right are very skilled at furthering a narrative that's not accurate, but it might have a tantamount of truth to it. Yes, there are some Jews who vote right, and they can spin that into, the real Jews all vote on the right sort of thing. So that's what the right worldwide seems to be quite skilled at. 2 years on, Marilyn, what do you want to leave us with tonight, if anything?
I guess I would like to leave with a suggestion that comes from the experience of watching this movement grow and realizing that really every time you go there, there is another union or another professional group or another community organization that have taken this on. I feel like appreciating the long task of peace and justice, it's become extremely important for people to make connections, understand Gaza through an issue, through a question that is enduring for you, through a local issue and its parallel. We need to make sure that our solidarity with Gaza is grounded in something here and something enduring, and that is how this movement will last.
Marilyn, if people want to read more of your writings or find out more about what you guys do, ajv.org.nz, all the links can be there about you guys and what you're all about, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was going to say, I hope we don't have a conversation on the 3rd anniversary. There will be a 3rd anniversary, but we hope that it's not as it is today and continuing on as it was at the last anniversary. That might sound a little bit flippant. I don't mean it to, but what else can you hope for other than the best possible outcome? Marilyn Garson, Alternative Jewish Voices. Thanks for joining us again tonight. We love having you.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping this issue in front of us.
Yeah. And we will keep doing that. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Marilyn Garson from Alternative Jewish Voices. Chewie, any reflections, anything you want to add into this?
I love when Marilyn's on the show.
Every night? You do it every night. The third co-host.
She's just great. This is one of the things that I really appreciate about BHM, because it's very easy. I'm sure everybody can understand that it's very easy to be siloed in your own experiences. And the knowledge and experience that Marilyn has, both of, living in Gaza, of being a Jewish person that's existing in the world at the moment and seeing what's being done in her name, and someone that has decided that the path forward is to try and do something about it. Just it's refreshing. It's invigorating to see someone like, I can have a little pity party about all the things that I can't change, and none of those have the weight of what Marilyn would be confronted with every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, love having someone of Marilyn's caliber on the show. It's awesome.
In the chats, Citizen Gold wants us to know 438 days at most of this fracking terrible government. Fracking. And Kiwi Bird, we should own our own issues and not blame other people, I feel. Just a little bit of a thought there. Bomber made me 4 minutes late. No Man's Land says, keep the mana, composure. Kiwi Bird here says, shalom and welcome back to Marilyn. Burpy burps. Nigel says, I agree with the Finnish Prime Minister. The UN veto must be abolished. and the Security Council members able to have voting rights suspended. Otherwise, there's no point in continuing it at this point. I tend to agree. I mean, that's why we talked about this when you were away, Chewie. There was a resolution somewhere to say that, you know, like Trump was like, it might have been Trump, I don't know, was against the UN or something. One of the leaders was, and I was like, well, the problem is, if we could all take the path of being anti and wanting to shut down the UN or wanting to change the UN, like, for example, the veto rights, I think we'd all be in favour of getting rid of them. So we all want to systematically change the UN as well. Oh, it might have even been someone here. Was it the Prime Minister? It was probably Peters. There's a systemic problems of the UN. You mean like veto rights? I agree. If that's what it is, then I agree. Sorry, Chewie. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some strong views on the UN. I think it can be a huge power for good. The ability that it has and the ideals that it was set up to represent, fantastic. No notes. And we've lost that. The idea of permanent Security Council members with vetoes means nothing happens. So there shouldn't be any permanent Security Council members. It should all be rotating. I'm also of the belief that the UN should have its own military force.
Hang on. Well, just
force.
Explain to me then, what are UN peacekeepers if they're not their own force? Are we the blue hats? Who are they?
Yes. So they're peacekeepers.
Yeah.
So if you want to send people on a peacekeeping mission, then you need to convene the UN Security Council. Everybody agrees that we need to get troops together to be peacekeepers, and we'll get back to you in 8 to 12 months before we actually do something.
So that gets drawn in from other military that's not the UN's in and of itself, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, I would, I've seen it mentioned as, imagine if the UN had a French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
The UN Foreign Legion. Small, agile group that is always ready to go, and the moment that you hear of a fucking genocide, then you convene the Security Council. Is this bad and should we stop it? Yep, send them in.
But there's a problem there, because, you know,
there is always a problem. It's an idea that
Winston,
no.
Winston Peters and David Seymour would never vote for anything with the word foreign in it. They don't like foreigners. They're not. It's not about them. The UN Foreign Legion, the UN the localized region, maybe that could be like the UN citizens region of this country for the last 4 generations region. That could work.
Okay, so in a current standards, you put out like a 600-page document about building an anti-woke rapid reaction force. Assume that none of these cunts will read. We'll just see the cover profile, fund it and approve it in record time, and then we start doing the hard mahi of changing the world. Sounds
good. Let's do that.
Cool.
Here, I've got a question specifically for you, Chewie. It's not. I'm sure it's not aimed at me, but Mr. Alex wants to know what your take is on Upper Hutt Mayor Wayne Guppy running for a 9th term. Upper Hutt people and Facebook groups are in shock. What are your thoughts around that, Chewie? Have you got some big thoughts around that?
1 second, caller. We just need to get a picture of Mr. Wayne Guppy. Look, I have no strong view on Mr. Guppy's long career or his achievements or lack thereof. But I think for consistency, God, I'm scrabbling here, aren't I?
That man?
That's a good image. It's not the one I got.
He does look like a guppy.
He looks like a turtle.
He is a turtle.
I may be tarring Mr. Guppy with the same brush, but I think we have a problem with the age of our elected representatives in general. I'm not saying that he doesn't have anything to add to the community or that sort of thing. I'm just saying when you get to these leadership roles, and we see
he's 100.
National.
Is he 104? He's 104, right? He looks 104.
What relevant experience does he have?
He was there when the world began. He knows everything.
That's the thing. Like, I don't want to write off all older people. I just think we get to a stage when all of our mayors are white men in their 70s. All, big chunk of our elected national representatives are white men in their 70s. big portion of international leaders, white men in their 70s. Dude, just find something else. Find something else to put your efforts into your community.
Okay,
Can I
offer something?
Retirement.
Let me offer you something from the democratic process, though. He was first elected mayor in 2001, so 23 years ago, after serving one term as councillor. He's then been re-elected for 24 years. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm with you on, some more, for want of a less wokey word, diversity in our politics, a better representation. But you could also argue if he's been employed for 24 years by the people of Upper Hutt, then the people of Upper Hutt want him to be mayor. Isn't that fair?
It's a good counter argument, and I've got nothing. It's like I said, I know nothing of this man. I think the other aspect, especially when we're talking about local body elections and that sort of thing, I need to send this fucker back. Don't let me forget. Is low turnout. Yeah, we have a lot of problems with low turnout in local body elections. They're always lower than national elections. And I think with low turnout, you get low quality candidates getting in. Because the people that do vote are people closer to Mr. Wayne Guppy's life experience, shall we say.
I've got something, actually, some breaking news. I've got imagery of Mr. Wayne Guppy eating some lettuce. So let me show you. This is a footage of
That's a good segue.
Wayne Guppy eating some lettuce. So I'm not going to play the audio. This might get us booted anyway. But
people in the chat that don't, people are going to say in the chat, he's done amazing things and he's a great person and he's just.
Oh, here he goes.
Really
there we go. There's Wayne Guppy eating some lettuce. Is that about right?
I take back everything I said. It's kind of hot.
Well, enjoy it, whānau, because this will get us taken off YouTube. So enjoy Wayne Guppy eating less. The reason I know this is I've never seen Conan O'Brien laugh. I don't watch Conan O'Brien very much, or did, but I've never seen him laugh so hard as he laughed with this, with Wayne Guppy eating some lettuce. So
James has got another really unkind comparison. Wayne Guppy has been in power for as long as Putin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, team. Start a podcast like every other white man. I resemble that comment.
We're outraged about that, aren't we? Look, that's kind of a point, right? Because as I've got older, every local body election I've always gone, hey, joking but maybe not joking, maybe I should run for council. No, I wouldn't. But I'm basically at the point where next election I'm just going to put a Facebook post out that says if I get one like on this comment, I'm running for council, and then I'm going to like the motherfucker myself.
Oh no, I like it. I need a second.
So I've got 2 votes there.
Yeah.
And I'll run a really low effort campaign for sure.
Maybe we should go on as team BHN for mayor, and we can play rock paper scissors for who gets to be mayor and who gets to be, I don't know, the cleaner.
I will just run on the platform of getting rid of Lee Vandervis. There's some Dunedin related content for those of you that are not from Dunedin.
I always used to actually think every election cycle, every radio station I ever worked for, I was always like, why doesn't the breakfast team run for mayor? Like, great publicity. Obviously you don't want to win it, yada, yada, yada. Even if you have to pull out in the last minute, why don't you just do it? Anyway,
well, in Dunedin, that's what happened. Damien Newell ran for council. And he was there for 1, maybe 2 terms, and then he was like, I hate this. Yeah, 1. And he was just like, I hate this. I'm going back to radio.
Hey, I wanted to remind you guys of one other thing. Sorry. I've talked to you earlier about the amazing generosity of a local BHNer who is matching our donation up to $500, which means any hoodie that you get now is basically a $40 donation to MAPS. But the thing I forgot to say, Chewie, of course, was then we're also copping the delivery. So if you use the code WB, welcome back, WB Chewie, you also get free postage. So potentially up to a $40 donation to MAPS and free postage and of course looking fly at every future protest you go to. Yeah, there you go. All right, hey, let's get on to, oh gosh, we've been going for nearly an hour. Let's get on to, let's do this Te Pāti Māori one first, because it's not going to take a lot of time, because we did this last week, Chewie. You weren't here, eh? I don't think you were here last week. We know you were somewhere, you weren't here?
I was on the other side of
You were
the planet.
drinking warm beer somewhere.
Oh, icy cold.
There was a situation with Toitu Te Tiriti, which is run by Eru Kapakingi and Te Pāti Māori, and there seemed to be a little, in its most basic form, Toitu Te Tiriti said, we can't be sort of seen to be owned by one political party. We want to be broader than that. You go, yeah, cool, fair enough. On the other hand, you got Te Pāti Māori seemingly in a little bit of friction between the two. Some accusations were made by Eru Kapakingi where he said that Te Pāti Māori was run like a dictatorship. And it's just like, oh, this is, at its most basic, it's like, yeah, of course, you're separate entities, you want your own identity, but underlying there was something going on. Of course, there is the thing that Eru Kapakingi's mother is one of the MPs for Te Pāti Māori. So it's all like, what's going on here? TVNZ had an exclusive tonight as to things going on between these two parties. And let's play tonight's episode of something like Coronation Street, but New Zealand's version of it. So there's not maybe a lot of commentary coming on here, but there's something happening. And this is the thing, Chewie. I know I say this a lot. We expect answers of our politicians, yeah? When David Seymour or Nicola Willis or someone's sitting opposite Jack Tame and they don't answer the question, you go, answer the question. And so because of that, I feel the professional responsibility to be fair and need to ask Te Pāti Māori, you guys need to answer these questions. I'm not saying anything's going on. I don't know. You know that Te Pāti Māori is one of those two places I would be, maybe 2.5 that I'd be available for a vote for. But if we're going to demand accountability of national New Zealand first and act to answer questions, it's quite important you guys do as well. Quite important.
Back here, more controversy has emerged within Te Pāti Māori, with allegations one of its MPs overspent their budget, requiring the Speaker to step in. It comes as the party prepares for its planned reset on Thursday. Just a short time ago, political editor Mikey Sherman spoke exclusively to MP Maria Meno Kapakingi.
As the movement, Toitu Te Tiriti, announced independence.
Just so you know, Chewie, in case we get around to it, and we might talk about that this weekend, that was Waitangi. There you go. That was Waitangi. So that's up there. That's up at Waitangi. Yep.
As the movement, Toitu Te Tiriti, announced independence from Te Pāti Māori.
Which again, completely fair. Actually, probably quite a good move. Because I'm sure there's lots of things with the Greens you can do as well, and lots of things independently. I don't think Te Pāti Māori and Toitu Te Tiriti should be seen as like one entity. I think it's the right move. It's the reason, and the reasons underlying. You kind of go, what is quite going on here?
Spokesman Eru Kapakingi made damning allegations of a toxic party leadership.
Oh well, you need to talk to him. We're here for other matters.
But he's made some serious claims.
Yeah, I know, but look, we don't answer claims and allegations. We're focused on Tamaki Makaurau and we're focused on Hannah Maipi Clark.
The son of MP Maria Meno Kapakingi not holding back.
Well, he said that you're operating a dictatorship model, Mr. Tamihere. What do you say to that?
It's a beautiful thing.
He says it's dictatorial and also that it's a toxic environment. Would you agree with those two statements?
It's time for change is what I see, Mikey. I think, and change is good for...
answer.
It's a good answer, but it's not the answer. It's not answering the question.
From a political, that is, I like that answer. I know you're going to.
That change isn't without challenge, as allegations emerge online that Maria Meno Kapakingi overspent on her parliamentary budget.
Did you overspend on your budget this year?
There was an adjustment that I had to make.
Doesn't answer it.
And I did that with the full...
It's actually a really silly answer, because there was an adjustment that needs to be made means yes. It actually means yes. So why are we playing word games? Yes. Because if there wasn't, there'd be no adjustment that needs to be made. Now, I guess you could say, Chewie, so she answered the question. She answered it in a different way, but yes. Why? Doesn't matter. It's been repaid or it's been sorted out. I'm sure lots of people in lots of places in the world have a budget for their workplace and they go, oh shit, overspent there. We'll figure out the ledger and write it. It might not be a big deal. Yes. It's not a big deal. It's been sorted. I made a mistake, or whatever. Or one of my staff made a mistake. You know what I'm saying? When you try and go around the corner and not saying yes while you're saying yes, most people kind of go, "Why are you just saying yes? Is there something else here?"
I'm not backing her on the second answer.
Oh come on, you're all in. You're all in, bro.
I was all in on the first one. You're right. I'm taking those chips back because if there's any sort of question on money, on public money, come on, you have to front foot it. Even if you look bad, you have to front foot it.
Here we go.
This year.
There was an adjustment that I had to make.
Yes,
and I did that with the full, in line with budget rules, spoke with, and with the Speaker's directions and with the Speaker.
She refused to say why the overspend occurred.
You know, there's privacy issues here and I'd rather just keep it just there.
Eru Kapakingi suggested the leaking of his mother's budget affairs came from the party itself.
Do you agree with him on that?
From what I can see, there's no other way that there would have been any attention to my budget or anything about my spend. So I don't know where else that information could have come.
So Eru has said Te Pāti Māori leaked it. Te Pāti Māori MP is saying, well, they must have leaked it. And the other thing to remember about this whole thing is Te Pāti Māori MP, Kapakingi, that we're looking at right now, has also been demoted. So there's just this thing going, what's happening here, whānau? You know, what's happening here? I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I don't want to hear from any lawyers, but there's not quite questions being answered. There's a few things, not accusations, but something like them being left hanging and not really answered. And unfortunately, again, and we're going to go into this with Winston, and this has actually got nothing to do with Te Pāti Māori really, is that I'll say it again. I think I've just come to this tonight, and I think we'll stay on this, Chewie, for the next 12 months. If anything the left does looks or smells or is a little bit off, the right magnify it by 400% and it works for them. Yeah. And when I say it works for them, this now will get spun into, so will Chippy work with these people who can't even look after their own finances? Imagine them at the cabinet table, and none of that's fair, and it's not fair, right, that the left has to keep its nose cleaner. It's not fair, and I don't agree with it. But I am the exception. Chewie, you are the exception. Probably all the people watching now are the exception, and you can see through the bullshit. But as I was listening to Bomber's show tonight, and one of the guests, I forget who it was, said one of the biggest problems in Auckland at the moment is most people don't know there's an election on. That's the general voting population. They don't get to see through the bullshit because they don't spend all day, every day ensconced in this. So what I want to be able to do is explain and talk to us all and say, yeah, this might be a nothing to see here, but that doesn't mean it's not politically advantageous to our opposition. Because they're very good at spinning it. Remember, they compared spitting in soup to Charlie Kirk. And for some of them, it worked because I saw it on my Twitter feed today. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, and this is the thing. Let me make this really clear. I don't want to play nice guy. Like, I don't want to be the ones with the clean noses all the time. But I also know from playing lots of sports, sorry, Chewie, that if you're playing in a particular game and the referee is advantaging the other team, you still have to play in that game. You can't go, well, that's just not fair. I'm not going to play this game anymore. If the referee is advantaging the other team and they're calling all of your fouls or penalties and none of the others, that doesn't change the fucking scoreboard at the end of the game. The scoreboard is still the scoreboard. So whilst I know some people out there will be like, no, we should just do what we want to do and be who, I agree with you. But there's unfortunately, this game is not played on a level playing field where everyone does things in good faith. And the right are better at spinning a narrative and making it hurt the left when there's nothing to see there, let alone where there is a little something potentially to see there. Chewie?
Yeah. Wow. How do I follow that? Yeah. Okay. So to cover everything off, because this is how I followed it from overseas. I agree. Toitu splitting away or making the fact that they're independent and apart from Te Pāti Māori, long term, good move, because they can criticise Labour, they can criticise Greens, they can criticise Te Pāti Māori, they can criticise everyone.
Yeah.
They need to make that break really clear. It does make it really difficult when you have the mother-son relationship happening here. You know, there is a muddying of the waters, and you get this sort of thing of, okay, are you doing this publicly and quite, you know, there seems to be a bit of emotion here because they're being mean to your mum. It's not great.
Yeah.
I think Te Pāti Māori does have some leadership issues to resolve. Personally, one man's opinion, I'm not a big fan of John Tamahere. I don't think he's the right person to be in that role.
That's interesting for Leone as well. They're a young party. There will be growing pains. I'm sure that is. They're not,
100%.
but they're not that young. It's not like they're just in. But this is sort of version 2. This is 2.0 Te Pāti Māori after Peter Sharples and that. So, yeah.
This is not the same party that was allied with National for very sound tactical reasons.
But neither are the Greens. Neither are the Greens. The Greens in a 2.0 as well. But they've been around since the 90s.
Now there is a comment that is made here as well that I agree, because they have such young MPs. Mm-hmm. The fact that they don't put up with the same shit that other people would have put up with is an excellent point. They're agitators.
I'm for it. No. Listen. Yes. Let me make it really clear. 100%. We are for the agitation. I want nothing more than to see Te Pāti Māori rip strips off someone on the right, you know. Mm-hmm. But we have to be aware, though, I'll say it again, if you're playing in a game and the referee is advantaging the other team, the scoreboard at the end of that game still reads the same. And I'm not saying there's literally a referee in this. I'm saying if the game is unfair. And in this situation, the game is unfair. What? What are you looking at me for? Do you want to go upstairs? You can go. Sheesh. In this game, it's a worldwide issue. The right are better at setting narratives, be they true or not, and the left have to play a bit of catch up. It's one of the reasons that we played this kind of 50-50 game. I mean, I firmly believe that in general, most of the time, there's more left voters than right voters. But I'll also say, and I've been saying this since I worked at ZB 20 years ago, is that right play the game of politics better. And that's what keeps it 50-50.
And you know, the last time we had this conversation, when the Greens were going through the same thing, and because of the Greens' internal processes and being incredibly transparent, the media took this as like, oh, blood in the water. So look, all of our criticism, everything that we say about this process and the people involved in both Toitu and Te Pāti Māori come from a place of love. We need both of these organisations to be firing on all fucking cylinders. Yeah. So if they need to have a messy spat, if they need to have a come to Jesus moment, if people need to leave and just I'm taking my ball and I'm going home and we get someone else in, that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I saw, I think it was an interview with Ryan Bridge and Willie Jackson and somewhere else. Ryan Bridge was just pushing Willie to go, when are Labour going to rule out Te Pāti Māori? It was an absolute fucking nonsense question. I urge people to go and look at to see how Willie dealt with that, because he was like, why are you asking me? I'm in Labour. I'm not into Te Pāti Māori. It's an internal thing. Parties have internal things. We've had them. Greens have had them. Like, everybody's had them. So why are you saying over a year out from an election that we must rule out Te Pāti Māori because they are sorting some shit out? It's ridiculous. And it plays to your point, Pat, is that the right can have internal spats and still be seen as the stable, safe hands. The right can have people concealing 25 plus properties against parliamentary rules, and the next week we've moved on from that, but we'll have 3 or 4 weeks in the news cycle about what's happening at Te Pāti Māori. They can't sort their shit out. We need to acknowledge how fucking angled the playing field is. And we need to keep this in the public's mind, that why is there a double standard here?
All right, let's get to the end of the story, shall we?
Look, the truth will come out in the fullness of time.
Is that why she was demoted?
The truth will come out in the fullness of time.
Te Pāti Māori leadership has promised a reset on Thursday, coinciding with Oreni Kaipara's maiden speech.
Why are you announcing the reset on the same day as her maiden speech? Are you not threatening to upstage, her moment?
Well, don't you think you were upstaging her moment?
Well, no, we're just asking questions, Mr. Tamahede, about allegations made by Edu Kapakini.
You have a good time. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, unless our people say, no, Mino, we don't want you, we want someone else.
Growing pains for Te Pāti Māori, with more to come. Mikey Sherman, One News.
All right. There you go. Let me just get rid of that and get rid of that. Yeah, I mean, it does feel like it does actually bleed into the next story, which is about Winston Peters and what's going on. Yeah, I've said it. I'll say it for a third time, like about how the right can. It's not fair. It's not fair that the Greens have to be the grown-ups, and the fucking Greens were the grown-ups at the last election. They were the grown-ups. They had the grown-up policies. They had the best tax policy. They were the ones that were going, we have to do this because we have to do this. It's not fair that they have to be it. It's not fair that the left has to keep its nose completely clean because one half step out of place in the game we're playing, where the referee is calling fouls differently for each side. You can replace the word referee with anyone you want, media, communicators, whatever it is. Money invested in politics, big thing, different with the right and the left. That it will get spun in a way that will hurt the left. Is it fair? No. Does it happen? Yes. Does that mean we have to address it? Yes, fortunately.
Yeah.
Let's just get some of these messages, like this one, Chewie for Mayor. Third time I've said it. And it's in the bell. It says, want to see how Wayne Guppy performed on camera. Check out our Upper Hutt Merrill debate. Wayne did both 2022 and 2025. This is interesting as well, because I don't know what you actually saw, but we did wonder last week when Eru came out and talked about dictatorship, or the words he used. It's like, this feels like a face-to-face conversation. What is this going to achieve being out? And just so you know, I messaged Eru today and asked if he wanted to come on and talk at some stage about where Toitu's going. I don't think we'll hear back from him. There's nothing to do with us, our commentary tonight. I don't think we're their focus for communication and stuff. And Nigel says, I have respect for Eru, and from what I've seen, this was an internal TPM problem that was being dealt with. He chose to bring it to the public in the worst possible way by announcing it on television. Yeah, I have some sympathies with that position. Danger of Mouse is the right play it dirty, the left play it by being better. I think you're right. The left play it by being better. And I've done this. I've said this a dozen times on the show. It's like the left will get to the end of the rugby game after throwing the perfect spiral passes and kicking to touch perfectly and not knocking on the ball at all, and go, that was the best looking game of rugby there's ever been, but you lost. Because the right comes off, missing teeth, bloodied eyes, having broken players' arms and look like a complete mess, but through their dirty play, they've won. Now, this is also a conversation about what are you prepared to give up, what are you prepared to get, and you don't ever want to have to give up your morals or your position, and I actually agree with it. I wouldn't want to do it. I guess that's one of the reasons, Chewie, that maybe many of us don't want to be in politics. Because what you'd have to get up to get to the ninth floor might be beyond what you'd want to do. There's been people in the past who have said it. I talked about, what was her name? The talkback host, Pam. She was part of ACT. I can't remember her name. Talkback host from ZB. And she went, I forget the name. And then Lucky Quiz just says, all the best for the awards, lads. Pam Corkery. That's who it was, Pam Corkery.
Oh,
she came out
Pam
and said,
Corkery.
Yeah.
Oh.
But she just went, she was a great talkback host, though. And she just went, no, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. And a lot of people face that. And they're facing that right now, actually. The Greens saying there are multiple MPs on the other side that would come with us in this vote to have sanctions put on thing. But they're not going to do it because they're scared of their position. They have to follow through. I don't quite know how to word this without getting a legal letter, but what I understand, and remember we talked to Marilyn Waring not that long ago talking about the 80s where she crossed the floor. Others did often, sometimes. And now that there's such control from the top, being Luxon, not Alliance, sorry, apologies. There's no way people can cross the floor. I'm not quite sure what that means when it comes to an element of control, but it's certainly not like it was in the 80s when Marilyn Waring and others from National crossed the floor for various votes, like, for example, Nuclear Free New Zealand and that kind of thing as well. Yeah. So
doesn't that suggest that there's a problem with our government or our parliament, that things have got worse? Like, surely there should be a thing like this. I've always felt weird about the idea of a party whip and going, we're all going to vote as a bloc. It's like, there has to be so many issues where you go, you know what, my own personal morals say that I am not going to vote for a bloc. And when it comes to the whip, the term "fuck you, make me" comes to terms. You know, I'm going to have to live with this. And like when it's something like a genocide or something like that, that definitely comes under that umbrella, isn't it? Like we all know that Simon Court is going to vote for continuing on a genocide, right? He's got no morals. He'll just stay where he is. But from what Chloe is saying, there are people in National that are wavering with their own personal convictions of whether they cross the floor and vote for this because they see the things that we see.
I'm just wondering, should I have a little blurry circle over part of here right now?
It's pretty R18. I mean, we're past the watershed, but
no, we'll get past it. Let's continue on because there is a part of this which kind of flows into this, which is about the narrative being set by the right. I think we said pretty clearly last night that so here's the thing, right? There is legislation before the House at the moment, my understanding is, about not being able to protest outside ministers' houses. One of the reasons the Greens are against it is the punishment you can receive if you do it, which is up to 3 months in prison. One of the reasons I think Labor's against it is, so does that mean government house? That's the Prime Minister's residence. What could that then be turned into outside an MP's residence? And government house, which is fully secure, and or where the it's in beside Auckland Grammar, where the Governor General lives. What then dictates a residence, and that's my understanding as to why they're not such fans of it. But in general, I am
shitty law.
Well, it's not a law yet. You mean to not be able to protest outside the house? Yeah,
potentially a law. Like it's like a lot of these ones that we've had from this government. It's shoddily put together, and it's far too vague.
Yeah,
like the interpretations of it could be real broad.
The downside of what's happening, like at the moment, protesting outside Winston's place, is one lunatic, one moron, one absolute fuckwit can do a lot of damage to a whole political ideology, and that's what you're seeing. It's a bit like at the Posey Parker thing. One person who punched an old lady in the face, can then get the whole group of people laboured. And I was going to tweet this today, but I stopped. And this is a warning to those on the right. If you want to designate the actions of one person, the character of one person and equate that or equivalate that over a whole political party or a political ideology, just be careful, because there's a few Tim Jargos in your cupboards. There's a few Aussie Malcolms in your cupboards. And I know it was when he was young, but there's a few Sam Uffendales in your cupboards. So if and this is what the right do well, see, this is the thing I was just talking about. The right do take the actions of one person or the blog from one person, and they spin the narrative out across all of that political ideology. But for some reason, the left don't seem to be able to do that, or it doesn't stick when it's one person from the right. Let's play this story. And actually, I wasn't going to show this to you, but I can show you an exact example of this. And that's Chloe Swarbrick talking to Ryan Bridge this morning. Maybe I'll bring that up as well to show you about how one person's actions can lead to the right designating the whole of a political ideology in a certain way, even when the facts are against it. Do you remember just a few weeks ago around Charlie Kirk, one shooter who was not affiliated with any political party, but allegedly had a trans girlfriend, and then the left, what did Elon Musk say? The left are the party of murder, when every bit of research, scientific research in the world says 75% of political violence comes from the right in America. But they spun the narrative, and for some, it stuck. So Winston Peters today, TVNZ News report.
The fallout from an attack by a pro-Palestinian protester on Winston Peters' home has resulted in an actress being cut from a TV commercial. She'd revealed the Foreign Minister's address and encouraged others to join a
Let me just say this as well. And I actually, ironically, Chewie, I looked at a clip today because I was looking for some information. It was a Marilyn Garson one about that lawyer who was screaming in the protesters' faces. I would rather be a day late revealing information about someone that I'm not sure of than a day early. It's a little bit, again, not evoking it for our means, but like the Charlie Kirk thing. The left are anti-gun violence. Therefore, if you're on the left and supporting what happened to Charlie Kirk, you're not the representation of us. Let me say this again. The left are anti-doxing. The left don't want our activists, don't want our politicians, don't want our commentators doxed. We are anti-doxing. If you dox and you place yourself on the left, you should lose your left card. And just think about it, if you never think about it any other way, think of the equal and opposite. Okay, do you want an incel person on the right to publicise where Chloe's house is, and then there's 40 incel 20-something-year-old shaved-head white men standing outside her house protesting? Of course you don't. We are against doxing. We are against doxing. I'm making that clear. Chewie may have a different perspective on that, but
There's a lot of shades of grey in what you're saying there, Pat.
I don't think there is.
It's very open to interpretation.
I don't think there is. We'll keep going.
Protest outside. The targeting of the private residence has been widely condemned. A 29-year-old man charged after handing himself in to police. Senior political reporter Benedict Collins has more.
Police at the scene of the crime.
Now, I don't really understand this. Why the fuck are they doing fingerprinting like it's CSI, like a genuine question?
It's
CSI
so
Miami.
dumb.
Like what? I mean, like this. It's like this is the house of a quadruple homicide, and like they've got the person, he handed himself in. What are they like? Honestly, if this is standard police practice, okay, sure, I don't know, but it just seems a bit weird that the guy who put a crowbar through the window handed himself in, and they're going over it like it's I don't know, he's gone into the Charles Manson house or something, and they're trying to figure it all out. I don't get it.
Can I also say here, and I'm sure we'll have people in the chat that have been burgled, right? Because this guy has been charged with burglary. I think that's a very specific term for what may have been done, right? If your house has been burgled and you called up to report that burglary, did police come and do fingerprinting? And if they did, how long before
there's an answer to you?
Yeah. So this is exactly my point. So this man that has been on the public tit for longer than I have been alive, taxpayer-funded job, he has security, he has a DPS detail, I'm sure. police there the next day. The guy's handed us out, but he still has a police response that a normal citizen wouldn't be guaranteed of receiving. Right? There's a hypocrisy in this as well. It's frustrating to see this play out.
We'll keep going.
Winston Peters' window was smashed in yesterday.
Well, it's, an appalling event. Very sorry for the dog and everybody else involved.
Mr. Peters' Labrador, Kobe, seen here, was right near the window when the attack happened.
Well, we think he's okay, but he had glass all over him.
Can you talk us through what happened? How did it happen?
With the best of our knowledge, he climbed over the balustrade and then put a notice on the door and then put a crowbar through the window.
What did the notice say?
Welcome to the real world.
The Foreign Minister's home has been targeted by protesters in recent days, furious over the war in Gaza, and Mr. Peters' response.
He is a disgrace.
He is a disgrace.
They even broadcast his address online. Politicians are appalled at the attack.
This has just got to stop.
This has got to stop. Like, this is the 10th in a row. This is the narrative. Like, it's not, you can have two things can be true. What happened at Winston should never have happened and is wrong. And David Seymour is inflating what happened and making more of it. Both of those things can be true.
Believe that someone else is wrong, then the right thing to do is try and persuade them.
So do we remember him when it came to Green MP, who's just jumped out of my head, who retired, where Mr. Seymour, Benjamin Doyle was? Was this the tone he took with Benjamin Doyle? Was this the tone he took? I think not.
Not go and smash their house.
Oh, it's below the belt. It's just disgusting.
Senior citizen and his own home has been attacked. That's just outrageous.
I don't think you're supposed to call Winston Peters a senior citizen.
Doesn't like that.
I don't know how that'll go down with him.
And that's just not the Kiwi way at all.
The government alleges the Greens are partly
So why are you fingerprinting the ledge? Like, honestly.
responsible. The actor who broadcast Mr. Peters' address appeared at a press.
Can I ask a completely unrelated question? Because someone in the chat will know. Why the hell has she got a fork and a spoon stuck to her jacket? I thought that yesterday when I heard her speaking. Obviously it means something. A fork on one side, a spoon on the other. You can see the spoon just there. Can someone answer that for me?
So I can't answer this, but sorry, this was funny in the moment, so I'm going to talk about it. When I was looking at people on Twitter that were responding with quite a lot of aggression towards this person that's on our screen now, as the person that broadcast Peter's address, because of that blazer that she's wearing, someone referred to her as Mick Magnet Tits. And yeah, 'cause she's got a spoon and a fork on her chest. I don't know, but it was funny because it was just so absurd. But people have lost their fucking mind over this woman. Here's my tangent. She appeared in 1NZ's latest ad campaign.
Yeah,
very
I think
brief
about
moment.
that, yeah.
Because that's been pointed out, 1NZ have decided to pull that advertising. What a ridiculous overreaction.
I listen, Chewie, it's not that I disagree with you, but again, let's now talk about the game that gets played. You know, we've just seen it with Netflix has lost something like 30 million customers. Disney, when they cancelled Jimmy Kimmel, lost 1.7 million customers. This is the world that these mega companies work in. And, you know, Michael Jordan's got that famous quote when he was asked why doesn't he get political. He says, because Republicans buy sneakers too. What they've done is they've made a commercial decision based on what could happen from here. You know, there's lots of competition now in the telco sector and who might go to 2 Degrees or to Spark. Oh, they are Spark, aren't they? No, they're Vodafone's one, or Spark or Skinny or somewhere else. So it's, I tend to agree with you that it's a bit of an overreaction, but I also understand. I also understand what they've done. They've gone, imagine if we lost 5,000 subs from here. We couldn't do that. Let's just pull it. It's the safer thing. Might be cowardly. It might be the wrong decision. It might be stupid, but that's the decision they've made. And that's the decision in this world that mostly these sorts of things get made around business. It's just about the ledger with plus money, ledger with minus money. What do we think is the best thing to do here? Nothing more, nothing less. It's not done in a way to support Winston. It's not done in a way to support the Winston cause. It's purely about how many people will leave us versus how many will stay or join us. And they've made the decision. They might be wrong, but that's how they do it. We'll keep going.
Conference about the Gaza flotilla alongside the Greens yesterday.
And one was standing right next to Chloe Schwarbeck yesterday. She was the one that did that. Got them to come.
So I had no idea that she would be there. You know what Chloe Swarbrick could do today, if she agrees with me? She should call the dogs off.
Yeah, there you go. There's the narrative. Call the dogs off. Like, what are you talking about? Where is this happening? Like, call the dogs off implies it's packs, it's all the time, it's everywhere. This is the narrative. This is the narrative of the actions of one person. The one person is the guy that climbed over the balustrade, and that the actions of one person, call the dogs off, is now being said.
And tell those protesters to stop protesting outside politicians' homes.
The Greens say they condemn both the attack and the doxing.
Of course.
Every political party and every politician that I am aware of has explicitly condemned that violent attack on Winston Peters' home.
One NZ is removing the actor from its ads, saying they don't back behaviour that puts people's safety at risk. Our foreign minister has been putting the figurative boot into pro-Palestine.
Decorum. Bludgers. Those bludgers over there. Decorum, Mr. Peters. Decorum.
Indian protesters lately.
And off you go with a fence with dumber and dumber bludging over there.
He was referring to protesters there as dumb bludgers. I mean, does he need to tone it down as well?
There's no excuse for what happened last night.
Outside Parliament, this lone protest.
Two different conversations there. Has Mr. Peters added to the environment of abuse between political parties? Yes.
Yeah.
Separate to, that's not what you were asked. That's not what you've asked, Mr. Luxon. You were asked has his commentary contributed to the overall tension that we have in this political scene? The answer is yes.
Protester taking a stand today.
It's shameful what we have done, what we haven't done actually. You know, not even recognising Palestine as a state.
And rejecting outright the attack on Mr. Peters' home.
This is a movement of peace and love.
The attack on an MP's home, condemned by all quarters.
Toitu Te Tiriti down the end of Winnie Street there, obviously. I think we should play this. I will play you something else as well, though, because Winston was on with Karen this morning, and they had an interesting little chat about something else. This is about Bomber as well.
Well, look, let's just run through what we've got on the agenda here. Martin Bradbury, Bomber Bradbury. Okay, not many people read his stuff. He's in a strange ecosystem with that guy, Pat Brittenden. Do you think something needs to be done when someone like Martin Bradbury...
Come on, anyway, man, mention me. I'm here too.
Nah, you didn't get a mention from Karen. They were talking about that. That was about the
senpai.
That was about the spitting. I'm going to bring up the Herald, and we'll play that. But Chewie, your response so far, and I want to make this really clear. Two things can be true. Completely inappropriate, wrong. It's criminal what happened at Winston's place, and the person should be charged and held accountable for it. That can be correct, and the right can be using this and exaggerating it. Call the dogs off. Exaggerate. This kind of thing has to stop, like it's happening everywhere. Exaggerate the issue to make it bigger than it is, and it works. This is the thing we have to remember. Chewie.
Look, I think you'll agree that I can be somewhat militant on these things.
Yeah.
And look, my point of view, I said it last night, I said it on my Blue Sky, I'm going to say it again. This is very much like the calls to condemn Hamas.
Yeah.
Oh, what a big fucking bow I'm drawing here, aren't I? You can condemn the actions of the person that put a crowbar through Winston Peters' window. And at the same time, have a separate but related thought of going, don't agree with what you've done, but I understand why you did it. Right? Those two things can exist in the same place, in the same brain. And then there's a third thought that goes, this isn't actually that helpful to us at the moment because we've given a whole bunch of ammunition to our enemies and they're going to fucking dine out on it, which is what we've seen today. Now, this is exactly how it's played out in Gaza. So is the long-term things that we've seen in Gaza going to be true? We've spoken about this earlier tonight, of like Israel's put itself into a box that I don't think they've realised that they're closing the lid on. Are all the people that are cheerleading and saying, call the dogs off, and Winston is, with all of his, he knows he's got to mention the dog because the dog is relatable to everyone, whereas he is not. Is this going to wear out a welcome and people are just going to go, all right, guys, you're being kind of cunts about this now? Is that what we're going to see? Is the analogy going to stretch that far?
Well, I didn't have this queued up, but I've got it now, so I haven't set it to this particular pass. Just to show you, and I'm saying the right, and I am placing Ryan Bridge there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Can take the actions of one person and blame a whole ideology with it, a whole side of the political spectrum. So you have we're not going to play all of it. We'll play a bit of it where you'll get the gist of how he spoke to Chloe Swarbrick this morning about basically blaming Chloe for the actions of one person that the whole left is responsible for.
Listening into the at least latter half of that interview was Chloe Swarbrick, the Greens Party co-leader, and joins us now from Wellington. Chloe, good morning.
Morena.
Do you know who attacked Winston's house?
No, I don't, Ryan, and I just want to, straight off the bat, explicitly condemn this violence. We have always explicitly condemned attacks on people's homes, and we always have. This crosses a threshold and goes well beyond people's right to protest. So I just want to be abundantly clear that we explicitly condemn that violent attack on Winston Peters' home. We always have condemned attack like this, and we always will.
So why'd you invite that woman who told everyone his address to a press conference yesterday to speak and stand next to you?
I was not responsible for inviting her to the press conference.
Did you know she was going to be there?
Of course she
did. The community had organised who was going to be there. I had been involved in the formative planning with regard to ensuring that we had all of the representatives.
Do you know her? Is she a mate?
No, Ryan, I think that here we're kind of losing sight of the bigger picture.
Is she a mate or not? I'm just trying to figure out how close you guys are. This is a chick who went out there and told the world the address of our foreign minister at a time like this, and you're standing next to her at a press conference. Yeah. It's a fair question.
It's not a fair question.
Ryan, we are not close.
Because if they were best mates, how does that impact or not impact the actions of the one person who has broken the law here? This is the thing. This is the narrative.
A number of people who are involved in a number of protests. I had not been aware of that behaviour at that point in time when it came to, as you are now putting to me, sending out the address or otherwise. But again, if we can come back to the point here.
So when did you hear about the address going out there publicly?
I heard that when questions were put to me by the media later in the afternoon, subsequent to the press conference. So if we can come back to the core point,
yesterday afternoon.
Because yes, the core point here, Ryan, is not one activist. It is not the understandable feelings.
Well, the core point is how, is what Winston Peters says. You are inciting violence, Chloe. When you say from the river to the sea, and you lead these protests, and you whip up everybody on social media, and you get the mob going, someone ends up with a crowbar through Winston Peters.
So now someone who is a supposed journalist, is now telling New Zealand that Chloe is inciting violence based on the actions of one man who committed a crime at Winston Peters' house. I mean, like, I can play a bit more, but that's just showing the whole thing, right? That's the whole. That's the whole shell game, guys. That's the whole lot of it. And remember, I'll say it again: if the right want to tag the whole left with the actions of one person who broke the law at Winston Peters' house, I think we should start talking more about Tim Yago then. Because if they're going to label the whole right, a whole left, on the actions of one person, then the left should be able to do that too. Obviously, that's never going to happen, but you get the point.
Pat, I got an even better one for you, but
go on then.
Christchurch shooter.
Oh, actions of one man. There you go.
Mosque shooter. He donated money to ACT.
Yeah.
That was pointed out to ACT and said that they should donate those funds to some sort of charity. And they refused to.
Do you want me to give you another 60 seconds, or have we seen enough? Shall I give it another 60?
Oh, no, Ryan can fuck off.
Okay. Fuck off, Ryan. There you go. There you go. Bring that back. That might be a bit lighter.
There's so much wrong with that interview.
Yeah.
Like his dismissive attitude. referring to an adult woman as a chick
Made me
to
laugh.
Chloe and a
Kiwi bird. It's very funny.
like, and then going, oh, you said the river to the sea one time, so you'd see the direct line that has come to with, I assume, someone burning Winston Peters' house down and killing his dog in the street. Chloe. I saw someone comment in the chat that they just broke a glass in the kitchen, and why didn't Chloe stop that from happening? You know, it's just, God, Ryan's a spanner.
Look, I'm going to say this one more time because I want this to be clear, because people have started to pick up our stuff and start reviewing our stuff online like we do the news and stuff. Two things can be true at the same time. What happened at Winston Peters' house can be a crime that warrants charges and, if found guilty, a punishment to it, right? That can be true in this universe. And the right can be using this to exaggerate and further a narrative which is inaccurate. Those two things can be both true and both living in this universe.
Yeah. And look, consistency is key, right, Pat? So if anybody is reviewing this, I say, hello, Oliver, you human skin tag. You can look back at our commentary on when Posey Parker was here, and there was that assault in the crowd, and we had a really consistent point of view there that violence is bad. If crime has been committed, then the crime should be prosecuted, go through the courts to find its resolution, which is what happened. So sometimes breaking the law is worth it. I'm not saying that this is one of those times or not. You know, sometimes breaking the law is moral, not legal. Again, not saying that that is what this is in this case, right? Yeah. But come on, Winston is making hay out of this.
Yeah, and this is one.
That is the downside for the left of this person's actions.
Yeah,
as I said,
yeah,
it's against the law. Condemn it. Understand why it happened, and at the same time, can kind of go, I wish you didn't do that because this has happened now.
Yeah. Kiwi Bird says the problem is the left embraces nuance and likes essay posting. True. The right embraces black and white thinking and slogans. True. It's easy to remember slogans. Completely true.
We've built a whole show around that concept that you just wrote out.
Yeah.
That's us.
Jack says timing is coincidental. Protesting at houses law. Yep. Another one from Kiwi. This is all a distraction from sanctioning Israel. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, come on, mouse. My mouse is going to stop working. We're kind of screwed. We'll just be here for the rest of the night. Where is my mouse gone? Chewie, what have you done with my mouse? Oh, here it comes. There we go. Just broke a glass cup at home. Can't believe Chloe didn't stop me. Chronic Bucky. New Zealand First using this vid for propaganda on Facebook. Yep, of course they are. That's the point. This is the game of politics. And I know that there's going to be some real purists out there, and I love you, who are going to think it doesn't matter what I'm saying about we should always just stand by. And like, I don't disagree with you, but I'm being a realist and going how it's then going to be used. This is a game. I'm not saying it's a game like Yahtzee. I love Yahtzee, but this is going to be used to further the agenda. In 12 months from now, the right is going to be doing everything it can to try and further a narrative that they are the grown-ups in the room. And they will point to this protester who has done this illegal act, who is not a part of... that wasn't a Greens protest. It was a protest. And they will get tarnished with it. Mrs. Bridges should have swallowed. That's pretty harsh. Thanks, love. Yeah, and I don't think I've got too much more to add to that show for the night. Have you got anything else you want? Otherwise, we'll wrap.
Yeah, we should. It is late.
We're just rapping.
No.
We were rapping.
No.
E. Grant Wright says NZME editorial policy. Arvid says, where's Seymour saying if it's for a good reason? And yeah, look, this is the problem. This is a bit like the NRA in America going, oh, this is not the right time to talk about gun violence straight after a gun violence thing. The right are going to say, well, this is not the right time to talk about how badly we treated Benjamin Doyle, whereas actually that's a part of, there's a Venn diagram, right? That's a part of this Venn diagram. That's the issues within, I'll say this word again, that they use, decorum in politics. And you can't actually remove yourself from it, Mr. Peters. You are a part of the, doesn't mean what happened to you is your fault. Doesn't mean you deserved it. Doesn't mean it should have happened. But in the world of politics, that comes back to how we treat one another that leads to these events. You are a part of that and you have contributed to that. I think that's a fair thing to say. Yeah. I think there was one more chat that just came through. Right. Here we go. The media is going to be all over this guy's social media in a forensic examination like flies on shit once suppression is lifted. Yeah. They'll already be there because people will know who he is, and it'll be too late for that. They'll already have all his medias in case he goes and cleans it. And like we said with events that happened at Posey Parker, the only thing I won't do is say it's a crime, because I believe in the justice system where people are innocent to proven guilty. So if the crime has been committed, if he is found guilty of that crime, he should be punished accordingly. And that doesn't obviously mean Pat's trying to wangle his way out of this. It's like, that's the justice system, whānau. That's the one we've got, and that's how it kind of works.
Yeah. Look, I think my final comment on this is that what angers me the most is Winston's hypocrisy. Like, he's been fine to lash out and target a Green MP with some of the most hateful things, and just basically sent an army of flying monkeys that guy's way, Benjamin's way. He's been happy to rub shoulders with people that were calling for political violence around COVID. He was fine with that. He's been fine with inciting people to keep him in Parliament. And yet now he's willing to point, again, his army of monkeys at his political rivals once again by stirring up culture war bullshit. This has to end. This has to be Winston's final tilt at the wheel, and this has to be a one-term government. That's the mission. We stay on target.
There we go. I think that's us for the night. All right, whānau, we're back tomorrow night from 9 for another edition of Big Hearing News. Thank you for being with us tonight. I hope you all had a good night. Big stories, big feelings out there at the moment. But we will see you back again here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, for the next edition of Big Hearing News.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, and linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by what Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
Alrighty, not really that much to add, is there, Chewie, really? Although, just if you got merch off us in the last kind of 48 hours and in the weekend, most of it was put on couriers today, so most of you would have got a delivery notification. There's a couple that weren't because we had to reorder some sizings. But yeah, we got to it real quick this time, yeah? Anything you want to wrap up with, Chewie? Anything you want to leave us with?
The battle continues. That's all.
That's all. All right, team. We will see you next time, tomorrow night, in fact, from 9 p.m. for the next edition of Big Hairy News. Hooroo!
Cheers, fam.